Hey, what's up, everyone? This is James Reyes here with Sports Card Investment Group, and I got my buddy here, juggling Josh. Josh, how you doing today, man?
Hey, doing well. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, so I got in contact with Josh here. He's an avid Pokemon collector, and we're gonna talk some cards here, and I'm gonna let him kind of explain some of the stuff that he does. He has a pretty awesome page as well. If you guys haven't seen some of the juggling stuff that you have, and but yeah, welcome, and I'll let you have the floor.
Cool. Thanks, man. Yeah, so Josh Horton is my name. Juggling Josh is like my handle because I started as a juggler. And that's kind of what got me into social media a little bit, was just posting my juggling videos. But then I was able to reach a much broader audience when I started doing trick shots and sports videos. So now juggling is sprinkled in every once in a while, but I tell people, like, I make sports videos for a living. My YouTube channel is almost 95% sports, and even my Instagram and stuff, like, there's juggling every once in a while, but for the most part it's sports. And so I am a sports creator, and I saw the sports card thing happening. But what's kind of funny about me, and people always ask me, because I'm making sports videos all the time, I'm not a big sports fan. I feel like my life is sports. I'm wearing an NBA hoodie right now, but I don't watch sports. Like, I just don't. My dad didn't watch sports growing up, so I didn't grow up that way. And so I saw the sports card thing happening. I was like, man, I wish I knew more, but I'm gonna let that. I saw it as an opportunity several years ago, and I was like, that looks fun, but I know nothing. And then yeah, a while back I saw that Pokemon was moving as well, and I was like, I do know Pokemon. And so I was really big in it as a kid, and was like hustling as a kid too. Like, I got in trouble using eBay when I was in middle school, because I didn't have, my password was probably like 1 2 3 4 5, and our eBay got hacked, or my PayPal got hacked, and got in trouble as like a sixth grader buying and selling Pokemon cards on eBay. But like most people, got rid of my cards when I was, too old for it all, and got back in as because I saw the potential. But then it's also reminded me how much I loved it, and it's been super fun. But also, I got in before the kind of this crazy, like, Logan Paul boom, and so it's definitely paying off.
Well, that's awesome, man. I love hearing it. Yeah, I was kind of in the same boat growing up with eBay. I always got in trouble because I was never, I was using my parents, and I would call like at, with an issue, and I'd be like, oh, like, who is this? And I would actually tell them who I am. I'm like, I'm not 18, and then I get, banned and all
Oh
that
yeah, I
fun stuff.
bet.
But
Yeah.
but no, that's exciting, man. Yeah. Yeah, I love your page, and it's fun that that you are in the card industry. Pokemon, sports cards, it doesn't really matter. I think it's all fun, and yeah. So my biggest thing, I kind of wanted to talk to you about is, I guess, like, what brought you back into Pokemon. I know you said you saw some stuff going on, before the big boom. I guess, do you mind like running us through some like what your thought process was, or how
Sure.
it happened?
And like I said, like, I was watching the sports thing. I have lots of friends who are very much in the sports card industry, and one friend in particular. Do you know Buster, Hoops Nation?
Oh yeah.
So Buster was obviously big in sports cards, and then one day I saw him post a Pikachu card, and I was like, no way, it's Pokemon moving to. He's like, yeah, man, you got to get in. And we hopped on a phone call that day, and I did my research for a little while, and then got in it.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, cool.
Um, and I went hard. Like, Buster was like, you were a smart man, because I could kind of sense the urgency. And I think, like, at that point, Gary V had, like, posted a TikTok about Pokemon cards, but hadn't done anything on Instagram or YouTube or Twitter. Like, he was just like, people were starting to do it, and I was like, I think this is about to explode. And so Buster was like, I bet you have the world record for most money spent on cards without having a card in hand, because I really just, like, went hard the first few weeks. I knew I had educated myself, and I saw how quickly it was moving, and I was like, I just got to go. And so I went really hard the first couple of weeks, and it really, really paid off. I did very, very well, because I really think I got some of the cards for the cheapest they'll ever go for.
That's awesome. No, I love that, and that's one thing with all industries. The Pokemon, sports cards, really anything, like, we saw soccer cards, have a nice
Yeah.
increase in price last year. So that, yeah, that's the biggest thing is, if you see something that you could see potentially like the potential.
Yeah, I don't encourage to tell people to spend lots of money without without enough research. I was a little bit of a risk, but I felt good about it, and it turned out to be good for me. But that's probably not the most typical strategy I would suggest, is buying a lot of cards before you even have any. But it worked out at the time.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when you were buying some of these cards, like I guess I know you said you did some research. What were some things that you were looking for that maybe were like that you bought, like, and why?
I mean, the first thing I literally didn't buy anything that wasn't first edition base set Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
So English. So that was, the first cards that I knew about as a kid. If you would have asked 8-year-old me, hey, what are the best cards out there? You would say the first edition base set. Like when I was a kid, like I knew, I remember buying Rocket and Fossil. If you're all the sports card people may or may not know what the heck I'm talking about, but it's the first set that came out for in United States in English, and that was 1999. And so I was buying the cards I knew that I had back in the day. I probably didn't have that many first edition cards back then, but I knew those were the first. They're very limited. The populations are really low. Even before I had any cards, like I would see, I started following a lot of Pokemon collectors, and some of them were saying like, I can't believe people are paying this much for first edition Charmander. Do they know what the population is? It's crazy. And the population would be like 500, 600 for PSA 10. And I'm like, do they understand what that translates in sports? It was at the time was a very cheap card, like under $1,000 or something for a PSA 10. And so it's just like, that is such a good deal when it comes to the scarcity. And so that was kind of my biggest thing before I started buying. I was looking at the price of sports cards and how much they were worth, and how many existed and PSA graded. And then the relation to Pokemon, which is such a huge industry, is crazy. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people in the sports world have been seeing those facts, but it's like the biggest franchise in the world of entertainment. Like, it destroys Star Wars and Marvel and Hello Kitty and Mickey Mouse. Like, Pokemon has just been such a global brand in so many levels for so long. And yeah, it worked out.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, because I saw that graph too with the money, how much money it's raised or sold.
Right.
In Pokemon was at the top of that, and I was double taking that, and then I was doing some research on my own, and I was like, man, like that the info backs it up for sure.
Right.
And to me, it's fun because you have your long-term collectors within Pokemon. And they're saying that, like, do they know how many, like, the pop on a Charizard first edition? And
right.
To me, that's kind of how, like, what I was saying, because I've been in the sports card market for the longest time. And then we saw a big spike in like 2017, 2018, and like all this new money was coming in. And I'm like, people are just buying whatever, not really like a lot of it didn't even make sense why some of this stuff was going up. But if you can like get yourself in, educate yourself, and buy the right things, you can really make an absolute killing, kind of like what you did. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then the other thing I started doing, which it ended up, I was doing this was kind of beyond, like, Buster was my first person to talk to. And then there was a while where I didn't really talk with other Pokemon people. I was just kind of I was talking to a few people on Instagram here or there, but I was kind of like going off on my own, making some educated guesses. And the one thing I was doing was like looking at even the older stuff. So the Japanese pre-1999.
Okay.
And so there were some cards that I just felt really good about. And like one of them was, I brought a couple cards, guys, don't worry.
Yeah. Definitely.
And this was a card. So one thing I did realize was Pikachu in general was going crazy. And this was blowing the minds of all the Pokemon people, because Pikachu is a common card.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, Charizard's in 1 in 36 packs or whatever, or probably less than that. But a Pikachu would be in almost every single pack.
Yeah.
and or every other pack. So it's a common card. It has a little circle in the corner, not a diamond or a star. And so it was people couldn't understand why Pikachu prices were going up, but everyone who's coming back into the hobby, or people who are just investing in Pokemon because they know it's hot, like they want to get the one character they know. And Pikachu's as recognizable as Mickey Mouse, and so Pikachu started going crazy. And when I saw that, I was looking at like what is the oldest Pikachu card, and it's this Top Sun Pikachu. So this is 1995 blue back. There's a green back and blue back. Blue back is the earlier version, and so this is one of 12 PSA 10 Pikachus from 1995.
I've never seen that, but that honestly that makes sense. Like the most like the most common card, but if you go and get the most valuable of that common card, like and then
Right.
and then on top of that you get a PSA 10 where the pop is there's only 12 of them.
Right. So that was one that I got it kind of early, and it's I think tripled since then. There's been a couple of more sales since then, so that was a good one. And the one card I wish I'd bought earlier was first edition Charizard. I should have known. When I got it, I didn't know how deep I was going to get.
Yeah.
So had I known, it would have been the first card. But I did still buy I have a first edition PSA 8 Charizard, so still an expensive card. And I bought it before Logan Paul's first video. So that's kind of like the new BC AD is where you pre Logan Paul or post Logan Paul, because he really threw some gasoline on the fire. And that's the one thing I do try to tell people is like a lot of my friends are saying like he started all this. Like he didn't start it. Like Logan Paul got in for a reason, but he definitely expedited the process and so exploited everything. So yeah, it was literally the day Logan posted, I exchanged the money for a first edition Charizard. So in 11 days, I got offered double what I paid, which was crazy for such a high value item.
That's so much fun too. Like that is just that's awesome. And if I don't know if you know offhand, but what like a PSA 10 for that, what do you know the most recent sale for that?
PSA 10 first edition Charizard, I know Logic paid $225,000.
Man, so okay, so you have first edition, and that's 1999.
Yep.
And then so what's the the evolution of like the different sets, I guess?
So there in Japan there were several kind of random sets, but the biggest one was Top Sun was 1995, so that's this one.
Uh-huh.
And then there's Cardis was 1996, so that's these.
Okay.
They're also cool cards. So this is like the Cardis Charizard.
Never seen those.
Holographic. And then I have one, I don't have them with me. There's one other, so Cardis 97, the year after this, was another big set. And then the Japanese set was also really like the Japanese cards that look, they look like, oh, I do have a Cardis 97. There's a Pikachu.
Okay. Those are cool looking.
Yeah, they're really cool. Some of the art on these cards, I have a ungraded binder of the full set, and some of them are super cool. Like the drawings are way different than other cards. There's like literally some of the Pokemon like eating the other Pokemon and punching them in the face. Like they're a little bit more like animated and violent, and it's kind of cool for that reason.
Kind of like the show movies. I remember watching the shows and the movies.
Yeah.
Growing up, and I like how it says Pocket Monsters on it too, because like to me that's like a super throwback. Like
right, for sure. Another cool series. This is the 1998 vending series. So some of the early Pokemon cards, including I think these they came out of vending machines in Japan. So you'd put in a couple coins, you pull out your little, like when you got stickers at the pizza, your pizza parlor or whatever.
Yeah.
And I should have brought those. I have a full box, 100 sheets of the vending sheets, unpeeled. So you'd get out a sheet and you'd peel 1, you'd peel 2, you'd peel 3, and 4 cards would be in a sheet.
Okay. But are they stickers or are they actual cards?
They're cards.
Okay.
But the back of the card is exposed, so you would see that, and you'd peel that. And so these are hard to grade because the back has been exposed since the late 90s.
Yeah, because I remember going to Pizza Hut and they would have like the really rare cards in there, and you're like, how can I get one of these for $0.25?
Right.
And then you get them, they're a sticker. You're like, oh man.
Yeah.
That's fun, man. That's exciting. That's exciting. I'm not gonna lie. Like, so Actually, yeah, like probably 3 years ago, there during Halloween, I was out handing candy out of my house with my fiance, and there was this. I was the last house for this big group of kids. He was actually they were my neighbors, and they were coming along, and there's this little guy that he was dressed up as Charizard,
Mm.
and I was like, hey, what's up, buddy? Are you Charizard? And he lit up, and he looked at his mom, and his mom was like, you're the first person that actually knew what he was. And I was like, yeah, I've been a huge Pokemon fan. And then he would come knocking on my door like, hey, I heard you like Pokemon. He's like this little 8-year-old. And I was like, yeah. And he showed me that, like, the kind of got me into Pokemon because he was like watching breaks and stuff online,
Yeah,
like, stuff what I was doing for sports cards.
totally.
And I was like, so like I was helping him out, trying to make, like, getting him deals, and I would be like, hey, if you help me sleeve some cards, I'll buy you this.
Oh, that's awesome.
And when I actually, for Christmas last year, I gave him a Charizard PSA 8,
Nice.
but it wasn't a first edition.
Unlimited.
I think, yeah, maybe it was so I buy huge collections of cards, so like
Yeah.
I buy, let's say, a large collection, and then I sell what I know, and then I'll keep like the kind of odd stuff just because I have to hold it and see what happens. But I got one of those and I gave it to him, and he was ecstatic. But now I'm looking, I'm like, man, that might pay for his college one day.
Really, it was funny. I actually started a Pokemon YouTube channel as well.
Okay.
So I have a separate YouTube and Instagram. It's not going crazy just yet, but definitely faster than my other channels ever have grown. But I announced at one point I had a random PSA 6 unlimited Charizard. I bought it for like $200. And I was like, hey guys, in 3 weeks, I'm going to give this away to someone that subscribes. In 3 weeks, it was a $1,400 card. And I was like, oh no, what am I doing? But I gave it away. I kept to my word, and some fan is really pumped.
That's awesome. But to me, that makes it fun. Like, I don't even check the prices on what that card is anymore, just because I'm like, man, like, but hopefully, hopefully, he holds on to that card. But honestly, like, that's what's fun about it, because hopefully he gets really into it, and
Totally.
he gets to my age, and maybe he's handing out, whatever comes back, and keeps that hobby going, and keeps the fun of the hobby. So like, my biggest thing is, I love the hobby. I love collecting, always been collecting. I also do it where I can, make some money on it, invest in it, and in that terms. But at the end of the day, I do it for it to be a hobby. I guess, what's your thoughts on the longevity of Pokemon being as an investment?
Yeah, that one's tough, and like, it's tough for me because I do love it so much, and I've sold like 3 cards. Like, I really have. I've just been buying, but I did buy a lot to invest, and so I am trying to figure it out, and I'm probably not going to gamble on super long term for most of these cards. I think cards like the first edition Charizard, I don't know if I should, like the first edition Charizard, that's the Jordan rookie. Like, that's just always going to be, it's always going to go up in value, I think. I think some of these other random cards, maybe not so much. And so there's stuff I think, like, when I am ready to do my next thing that involves a lot of money, like, I might unload a lot. I don't know. And I'll definitely want to hold on to a few of the grails for a long time. But as far as the future, you'd have to ask someone smarter than me. I think the thing I keep calling investment insurance is what you said. Kids are watching millions of views of Pokemon card unboxings every day right now.
Yeah.
Leonhardt, PokeRev, Unlisted Leaf, like, these are all just huge Pokemon YouTubers. All they do is open cards. That's it. And people are just consuming. So these kids, once they get money, they're going to want to do the same. They're going to want to buy the cards that people freak out about, the vintage stuff. And then the other thing I also think is investment insurance is the modern Pokemon cards cannot stay on the shelves right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. It's really crazy. I mean, that was an aspect I was very surprised by when I got into it, because on the Pokemon channel, I'm not opening the base set packs. I'm opening the ones that are retail $4. And so I'm trying to buy the newest set because that's what people want to watch. and it's impossible to find sometimes. It's really frustrating. So you got to pre-order, you got to do whatever, and I'll go to Target and just like there's just nothing.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a great example. Like if the supplies, like the boxes or the wax, if you can't find it, and if you see it being resold for for more than what you can buy retail, that's a great sign of of the new money coming into the hobby. And it
right.
also shows the just the basics of supply and demand, that the supply is definitely not meeting the full demand. So so that, yeah, no, that's great stuff. Hopefully, one thing that that I always worry about, and this is for any card industry, is just the production. Hopefully,
Mm.
these companies aren't seeing this just as like they're basically printing money with these cards, and hopefully they just keep it where they're not taking advantage of it to an extent. So,
Yeah, and I know that was kind of the downfall of sports cards in the late '80s, right?
mhm,
Is that the card companies just saw it happening and they just printed more and more and more and more. And
yeah,
that's what's good. That's why I don't. Some people are like buying the modern stuff to invest and hold, and I'm not.
yeah,
I buy the modern stuff to open. I'm not going to try to hold on to that because yeah, for that reason.
yeah,
But the vintage packs, I think, is a really good move right now because people are opening them at a rate that has never been seen since 1999,
yeah.
and there's just less and less of them every day. So like when I saw that was probably my biggest move um, of my collecting, or more so investing, I guess, was when I saw that Logan Paul had his box break scheduled. I spent a lot of money on packs. I should have bought boxes. I didn't have that much money, but I just bought, like, at the time these were $250, and now they're going for 1,000. And I got quite a few of them.
Wow.
But then also like would get, so this is like unlimited. So this is not first edition. But first edition packs, even then, were very expensive, $10,000 for just the one pack. But then like the Jungle first edition, so it still has the first edition stamp, is like that was the next set.
Yeah.
Team Rocket was another, like,
This is like,
uh,
I haven't seen these since I was a kid, honestly.
yeah. I didn't grab a Fossil one, but I have a bunch of Rocket, bunch of Fossil, a bunch of Jungle, and then a couple of these too, which is like the original Japanese
Okay.
uh, set.
So I have dabbled a little bit of doing, looking into Pokemon, and I noticed that people, that there's a lot of people ripping them where they're not real, they're fake.
Mm.
Have you?
Yeah, a big thing just happened. Dumb Money TV.
Yeah.
They opened a. Were about to exchange $375,000 for their box, and it was fake.
Gee.
Um, yeah, that stuff's scary. I think the more the prices go up, the more people are going to try to scam. But
Uh-huh.
you just gotta be careful.
Yeah. So that brings my next question. Like, I think that, we talk about grading, the PSA grading, all that grading, where I think if, not only buying some of this wax, but getting it graded, because then people are going to stay away from buying, because there's going to be so much, not real stuff floating around, where the
Right.
graded stuff is going to have like a quick, people are going to realize that, and then it's going to have a quick boost. And then, then everyone will start getting stuff graded. But if you can be the first one to have that,
Yeah, yeah, they don't grade boxes yet, and that people are kind of calling for that. They're calling out PSA like, "Hey, you guys got to figure this out after that last big fake break." But I do have a few graded packs, and I like them. I think they're cool. Some people don't get it because it's like, are you really going to crack it open to open up the cards eventually? Like, maybe you are, maybe you're not. It's kind of like buying a stock in Pokemon, is kind of what my friends say. You just kind of have to believe that it's going to keep going up. But I think people are going to buy these packs and they're going to pay a lot of money to open them one way or another. So that's kind of my plan. I might get a couple more graded just so I don't open them, but
true.
yeah, we'll see. I do think it's interesting.
Well, that's kind of what I started, like the started doing, was buying some of this, very collectible, wax within the different sports cards industries, because knowing that these players' cards are getting so high that, the wax is getting higher, where it's
Hmm.
almost like a mutual fund. So instead of investing in a one player, I'm investing in the rookie class. So like for this year, I
Yeah.
think the NBA, like or last year, with Zion, and in that whole, I think that whole class is is unbelievable. Where probably only half of them will really be elite, or that next level, and maybe half of them don't follow in their potential. But overall, that class is solid. Where I don't really want to invest, like, put all my money in one player. I've been buying packs and grading them,
Really?
and using it as like a mutual fund, just because I
Yeah.
know wax is gonna that there's only so much of it, that if people are keep ripping it and ripping it and ripping it, that's one thing. But with the cards, that just creates more single cards. So I try and get to the for the very the most the thing that they're not making the most of in my thoughts. So I like to
Sure.
kind of spread the risk.
Totally. I think it's smart.
But no, awesome, man. Like, honestly, no, I'm glad we jumped on this call. This is fun. Like,
Yeah,
this is
appreciate it.
really my first time talking about Pokemon with someone that that's been investing in it. And it's always fun to hear the stories of, it's always fun, no matter what it is, the success stories of people collecting, and mostly with something as fun as Pokemon. Actually, one thing I did want to bring up, the one reason why I feel like, I was kind of going back to the story about my neighbor and being, Charizard, and he's 8 years old. And when I saw that, and I was like, Pokemon's still a thing. And then he told me like what he was like, yeah, I watched it on, and I was like, I didn't even know it was still a thing.
Yeah.
So when I've noticed that there's new blood, like, it's not just, like our, my age and above, where, they're collecting, there's new blood coming in, the younger generation, which is a huge impact.
Right. And I think I get a lot of comments on the new YouTube channel that it's parents my age or a little bit older watching with their kids. So the kids like the new stuff, the new TV show. The parents like seeing the old cards and kind of understand it. It's kind of a good way for them to bond, because it is now stretched a generation to where the parents and kids both can relate. And the thing that I've talked to a couple sports cards people about that I think is great about Pokemon is, you ask your grandpa to name his favorite athletes, and the grandkids don't understand that. But Charizard is Charizard and has been released over the years. Like the big guys, the big cards, Pikachu, Charizard, Blastoise, like those have been big since the beginning, and the new cards are still coming out, so they're still a recognizable figure. Where in sports, it might not be the case across generations, of course, aside from a few players. But I think that's super interesting that it's the main players have been around for the whole time.
Interesting. Both of those are great points. I think it's interesting too how, like, the parents can relate to their kids watching it, and it's something for them to do. Like, it's just like sports. Like, for instance, like me watching baseball, with my parent, and we both can relate to it. But not everyone wants to watch baseball or sports, like, and that's completely fine. But this is almost like an avenue for something just different for people that
Totally.
enjoy. So that's fun. No, that's great. I'm so glad we jumped on this call, this video. This is fun. I know a lot of people have been asking me about it, that on my pages, and I was like, I'm going to bring someone on that knows what they're talking about. And
there we go. Well, I appreciate it. It's funny. I feel a little like, do they know I'm not an expert? But then I've consumed so much knowledge in the last several months, coming up on a little bit longer than that but it's just like, I am an expert now. It is kind of crazy. Like, I'm able to, there's times where I see collectors say something, I'm like, oh, well, actually, you forgot about this or whatever like that. So like, I have been obsessive. So it's been good, and I've learned a lot, and it's been fun. I'm not at a point, and I don't think anyone's at a point where they can predict anything. That's everyone's thought right now is no one knows, because they've never seen the market do this so quickly. But I think anything that's risen so quickly has to come down a little bit, but I think it's a little bit of foreshadowing for the future. But I think as long as you stick with the first edition cards and the recognizable characters, it's still a good bet.
Well, that's great. So I know I'm probably going to have a lot of follow-up questions on a lot of this stuff after this video from people. and I'm not going to know a lot of the answers, but with your page or YouTube, do you mind kind of telling us a little about that and where people can go to get some more info for
Yeah,
that?
sure. Yeah, if you want to see my juggling and trick shots, go to Juggling Josh. But if you want to see my card stuff, it's Catch 'em All Cards. So Catch 'em All Cards on Instagram and on YouTube. And yeah, hit me up. It's the
Awesome.
Catch 'em All Cards. It's a play on juggling and Pokemon, so it was had to go with that one. The logo is a little juggler. There was a juggler character in Pokemon video game too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I remember
so
that.
yeah,
That's
that
awesome.
was yeah.
Well, that's cool. No, thank you for that. And I'm going to throw that in the description below. So anyone that
Appreciate
wants to like a link to that and check that out, I highly recommend it. I know I'm going to go over there and check out I've already checked out the fun trick shots and the juggling. So, but I'm definitely going to be a fan of the Pokemon and checking in for sure. So, but
Appreciate
other
it.
than that, thank you for joining, and